Chapter 36:30. Severed the second shackle. Lu Ming muttered to himself. This golden-winged man was not to be underestimated. Lu Ming was able to determine his strength as soon as they exchanged blows. The golden-winged man had awakened his divine origin power factor 5 times and severed the second shackle of his origin secret technique. Apart from Aoguan, this was the most powerful prodigy that Lu Ming had seen so far. Indeed, he could not underestimate these powerful races. The stronger the race, the stronger the bloodline talent. In other words, they were closer to the primordial god spirit. Therefore, it was easier for these races to comprehend the primordial god power factor and cultivate the primordial god spirit secret technique. This was the power of their bloodline talents. Your origin secret technique has also severed the second shackle? The golden-winged man growled in disbelief. Kill. Lu Ming could not be bothered to talk nonsense with him. He waved the Overlord God's spear and charged forward. Don't think that you can fight me. Kill. The golden-winged man roared and charged towards Lu Ming. Golden divine light danced in the sky and turned into a dazzling golden divine sword that slashed towards Lu Ming. Clang, clang. The two clashed continuously. After exchanging more than 10 blows, Lu Ming had completely gained the upper hand and forced the golden-winged man to retreat. Brothery, let me help you. At this moment, a hoarse voice could be heard, following which, clanging sounds could be heard. A gush of powerful and strange energy charged toward Lu Ming's soul. Wu people. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. This Wu people's strength was also very shocking. He was probably a prodigy that was on par with the golden-winged man. His soul attack was even more terrifying. If it were anyone else, they would definitely be greatly affected, or even have their soul torn apart. However, Lu Ming was already prepared. When he heard the sound, Lu Ming's heart stirred and the heavenly evildoer bell appeared, ringing. It was also a soul attack. It blocked the Wu people's soul attack. What? The second origin secret technique has also severed 2 shackles? The Wu people's prodigy's expression changed drastically. The expressions of the others also became very unsightly. They all came from powerful races, and they were all the prodigies of their races. They knew just how difficult it was to sever the second shackle of a secret technique. They relied on their powerful talents and vast amounts of resources to be able to achieve this at this age and at this realm. On the other hand, Lu Ming not only had many secret origin techniques, but also 2 of them had severed 2 shackles. This was quite astonishing. This person is a monster. I suggest that we attack together and take him down. The heavenly son of Wu people said gloomily. All right, let's attack together. I agree. The others nodded in agreement. However, just as the few of them were conversing, Lu Ming was already slaughtering the golden-winged race. Ring, ring, ring. The heavenly evildoer bell rang and a soul attack surged toward the golden-winged men. Although the golden-winged men had powerful soul defensive treasures, the heavenly evildoer bell had severed its shackles twice. Its power had become extremely terrifying. The golden-winged men were still affected, and their bodies trembled slightly. Boom! The tyrant god's spear swept out and hit the golden-winged man. His body shook violently, and he was sent flying, blood spurting out of his mouth. Kill! Lu Ming stepped forward. The primordial divine blood in his body was stimulated. His entire body seemed to have turned into a long spear as he charged toward the golden-winged man. Save me! The golden-winged man's face changed drastically. He felt a fatal threat from Lu Ming's spear. Attack! The heavenly son of Wu people and the others roared and attacked. However, it was too late. The spear rushed past and pierced through the golden-winged man's body, killing him instantly. Following that, Lu Ming stepped forward and rushed forward to avoid the attacks. You want to leave? Stop right there. A young lady screamed and waved her hands. Suddenly, a dozen vines rushed out from the lake under Lu Ming's feet. These vines were each as thick as an arm and had barbs on them. They wrapped around Lu Ming. Plant race. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. That lady was clearly a plant race. Plant races were very famous in the desolate universe. Some of them were very powerful. For example, this lady could make attacks rush out of the lake. One had to know that the lake water here wasn't ordinary. Lu Ming was careless and almost got entangled by the vines. The tyrant divine's spear swept out and bombarded the vines. However, the vines shook and didn't explode. How tough! Lu Ming's heart stirred. His attack just now was powerful, but it didn't break these vines. It was clear how tough these vines were. Those who could reach this place couldn't be underestimated. Each one of them was shockingly strong. You won't be able to break through my vines. Just give up. The lady shouted. Her hair wasn't ordinary hair. It was also made of vines that looked like small snakes. They were constantly twisting and turning. It was extremely strange. Is that so? Lu Ming's expression didn't change. With a thought, the sun appeared. The nemesis of plant life was fire. The sun was full of yang energy and could definitely restrain plant life. Sure enough, as soon as the sun appeared, raging flames spread out toward the vines. Oh no! The lady screamed. The vines were enveloped by the flames and burned fiercely. Lu Ming swept out with his spear again, and the vines exploded. Ding-ling-ling. The heavenly evildoer bell rang. A soul attack spread out and rushed toward the sky prides. However, the Wu people's sky pride struck the stone bell in his hand and also released a soul attack. It canceled out the heavenly evildoer bell's soul attack. I'll block his soul attack. Don't worry and attack. The Wu people's sky pride shouted. Okay, kill. Kill him. The remaining dozen sky prides shouted and attacked. These people's strength was extremely shocking. They weren't weaker than the gold-winged man from before. Kill, kill, kill. Lu Ming roared and his strength erupted to the extreme. Now that he had activated the primordial divine blood, his strength was shocking and had reached the peak. In an instant, Lu Ming stabbed out more than a dozen spear lights and collided with the sky prides. More than a dozen terrifying explosions sounded, and more than a dozen sky prides retreated. However, there were two young men who only swayed slightly but didn't retreat. As for Lu Ming, he retreated rapidly and stepped on the surface of the lake. He was almost blasted into the lake. 4th level Divine Lord Realm. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes slightly and revealed a solemn look. The two sky prides who didn't retreat were already 4th level Divine Lords. These two sky prides hadn't used their full strength previously and pretended to be 3rd level Divine Lords. At this moment, they suddenly attacked and wanted to kill Lu Ming in one fell swoop. Therefore, at this moment, the two of them were also very surprised. Lu Ming's combat strength was beyond their imagination. Chapter 36-31. The two 4th level Divine Lord geniuses were also quite surprised. They had kept a low profile previously and did not display outstanding strength. They wanted to suddenly erupt and kill Lu Ming in one fell swoop. They did not expect that under the siege of so many people, they would suddenly erupt and be blocked by Lu Ming. Amazing! A burly, dark-skinned young man exclaimed. The muscles all over his body bulged, filled with explosive power. This kid is too shocking. We have to get rid of him. The two of us will be the main attackers. You guys support from the side. The other 4th level Divine Lord Youth wore a black robe and had a cold expression. When he looked at Lu Ming, he was full of seriousness. Don't worry. Attack as much as you want. I will block his soul attack. The Wu people youth held a stone bell in his hand and stared coldly at Lu Ming. Attack. The black-robed youth said coldly. His figure swayed and rushed toward Lu Ming like a gust of wind. Swoosh! His arm turned into a saber and slashed out. Demonic chi soared into the sky. Blade Demon Race. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. The Blade Demon Race was also a large race on the Primeval Universe's 10,000 races list. Moreover, it was ranked very high and had powerful talent. Boom! At the same time, the burly man also attacked. He stepped on the lake water like a cannonball. Every step crossed 100 meters as he rushed toward Lu Ming. Bind! The woman with the plant life form pressed her hands on the surface of the lake. A few vines appeared from the lake under Lu Ming's feet and wrapped around him. This attack method was very shocking. It seemed to ignore the distance between them and directly rushed out from under Lu Ming's feet. Lu Ming controlled the sun and suspended it around him, emitting thousands of rays of light. When the vines touched the rays of light, they burned fiercely. At the same time, The tyrant god's spear shook and stabbed out 2 spear lights at the black-robed youth and the burly youth. "Break for me!" the burly youth roared. With a mace in his hand, he jumped up and smashed down with all his strength. The air exploded and the power was extremely shocking. The mace bore the brunt of the attack and collided with the spear light. At the same time, another spear light collided with the black-robed youth's saber light. 2 huge explosions rang out, and a terrifying force swept out in all directions, stirring up the lake water below to a height of 30 meters. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Both sides were slightly shaken. Lu Ming's figure swayed, and he took 3 steps back. However, the burly young man and the black-robed young man retreated more than a dozen steps. Even with the 2 of them working together, they were still at a disadvantage. Kill. The other experts also made their moves. All kinds of attacks blasted towards Lu Ming. The burly young man and the black-robed young man retreated. They stepped on the surface of the lake and charged toward Lu Ming. One terrifying attack after another enveloped Lu Ming. Each of these attacks was shockingly powerful. Lu Ming could not ignore them. If he was hit, even with his defensive power, his defenses would be broken. Wind extinguishing boots. Lu Ming cast the wind destroyer boots and integrated them with his feet. His speed increased tremendously. He ran on the surface of the lake like a phantom, dodging the attacks one by one. Although he was greatly restricted on the lake surface, and the power of the wind extinguishing boots could not be fully unleashed, Lu Ming's speed increased sharply, and he was not so passive. However, there were more than a dozen people on the other side, and they were all monsters among monsters. They quickly formed a formation and attacked Lu Ming from all directions. At the same time, the black-robed youth and the burly young man were the main attackers, and they engaged in close combat with Lu Ming. To be honest, the black-robed youth and the burly young man were really strong. These 2 people were also monsters among monsters. If their cultivation was at the 3rd level of the Divine Lord realm, they would definitely not be weaker than the golden-winged man from before. There were not many of these monsters, even in the various large clans. In the entire primitive universe, their talents were top-notch. Although Lu Ming was powerful, especially during this period of time, he had made great progress in all aspects. However, when he encountered such a demon, he did not have a great advantage. For a moment, Lu Ming could not do anything to them. The 2 sides exchanged dozens of blows, but there was no clear winner. If I want to win, I have to get rid of that guy from the Wu people first. Lu Ming glanced at the Wu people young man. The Wu people young man had offset the attack of his bell of evil. As long as he got rid of this Wu people young man, his soul attack would be effective on the others. In this way, he would have the upper hand. The 2 sides exchanged a few more blows. Suddenly, Lu Ming's figure moved and he dashed in a certain direction. Of course, this was not the direction of the Wu people young man. Lu Ming was using a diversion tactic. As expected, those people were fooled. He wants to break out. Stop him. The burly young man roared, waving his mace and chasing after Lu Ming. The black-robed youth and several other youths also chased after Lu Ming, wanting to surround Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming suddenly turned around and used the wind-extinguishing boots to dodge the black-robed youth and the others. He charged at the Wu people young man. Oh no, his target is the witch medicine. The black-robed youth reacted the fastest. His expression changed, and he turned around to chase after Lu Ming. However, he was still too slow. The Wu people young man's expression changed. He waved his hand, and a large number of puppets appeared and charged at Lu Ming. At the same time, his hands moved, and there seemed to be countless fluorescent lights spreading out from his hands. These were goo worms. They were very small and dense, and they charged at Lu Ming. Suppress. Lu Ming said coldly. The God's Gate flew out and floated in the air, suppressing heaven and earth. Lu Ming's body was covered in resplendent light as he pushed his divine power to the limit. The tyrant god's spear in his hand continued to spin. Lu Ming gripped the tyrant god's spear in the middle and made it spin, bringing with it a berserk energy that seemed to be able to cut through everything. Lu Ming charged past, and the puppets and goo worms instantly turned to dust. Not good. The Wu people young man wanted to retreat and flee, but he found that his speed was far slower than Lu Ming's. Lu Ming flashed a few times and caught up to the Wu people young man, crushing him with the tyrant god spear. The young man from the sorcerer tribe quickly summoned a scarecrow substitute and tried to escape. However, he realized in despair that there was a terrifying suction force acting on the area, enveloping the entire area within it. His scarecrow substitute couldn't be used at all. This time, he was really scared out of his wits. "Save me! Save me!" The young man from the sorcerer tribe screamed hysterically. He was so frightened that his face was contorted. However, even if the others wanted to save him, how could they make it in time? Boom! The tyrant god's spear crushed down, and the Wu people young man screamed as his body exploded. His body and soul were destroyed. "Come on!" Lu Ming turned around and looked at the black-robed youth and the others who were rushing over with a cold smile. Ding-ling-ling. The heavenly evildoer bell kept ringing, forming invisible sound waves that spread out and enveloped the black-robed youth and the others. Chapter 36-32. The bell of evil's soul attack caused the black-robed youth and the others to tremble slightly. Their souls felt a sharp pain. The bell of evil had severed 2 shackles. Even if they had soul protection treasures, they could not completely block it. When their souls were attacked, their divine power would not be able to circulate smoothly. Naturally, their strength would be affected. Whoosh! Lu Ming rushed over and swept his spear towards the black-robed youth. The black-robed youth roared and slashed out with both his hands like knives. However, he was still affected. His combat strength was not at its peak. When he collided with the overbearing god's spear, his body shook violently and he was forced to retreat. Boom! Then, Lu Ming struck out with his spear again. This time, his spear was aimed at the burly youth. The burly youth followed in the footsteps of the black-robed youth and was forced to retreat. Lu Ming sent the 2 strongest people flying with 1 strike each. Then, he continued to kill the rest of the people. Not good. Retreat. The other sky prides were shocked and retreated frantically. However, Lu Ming was now wearing the wind-extinguishing boots. How could their speed be as fast as Lu Ming's? He caught up with a black bull in a few steps and struck out with his overbearing god's spear. This black bull was very powerful and was not weaker than the golden-winged man earlier. However, at this moment, Lu Ming had unleashed his full combat power. He could not resist at all. When the spear landed, all of Black Bull's attacks and defenses were in vain. His body directly exploded. Then, the overbearing god's spear was thrown out. It turned into a flash of lightning and caught up with a vine. This vine was the plant life form woman from before. She had transformed into her true form. The vines were like legs as she ran wildly on the surface of the lake. However, the tyrant god's spear rushed past and directly pierced through the vine's body. She let out an unwilling scream as her body exploded into vines that fell into the lake and disappeared. Lu Ming had killed 3 sky prides in a row. The remaining sky prides were scared out of their wits. "Let's retreat first." The black-robed youth roared indignantly. He knew that without the masters of the Wu people holding back Lu Ming, they could no longer deal with Lu Ming. Only he and the burly young man could withstand Lu Ming's attacks in a head-on confrontation. The others could only be insta-killed by Lu Ming. A second-level Divine Lord person's combat strength was powerful to such an extent, it seriously made them alarmed. The black-robed young man spoke, and the others retreated madly, fleeing madly. "I'll spare your lives this time." Lu Ming snorted coldly, but did not pursue. He had a plan in mind, so he did not plan to kill all of them. Soon, the black-robed young man and the others disappeared. Boom! Lu Ming turned around and charged towards the 7-layered giant waves. The power of the 7-layered giant waves was very shocking. It was much stronger than the 6-layered giant waves. However, in the end, it still couldn't stop Lu Ming. Lu Ming rushed over. After the 7th wave came the 8th wave. Apart from Lu Ming, there was no one else. "It's the last wave." Lu Ming was slightly taken aback, because one could tell from the distance that this was the last wave. Passing through this wave would be that small island behind. Rumble. When Lu Ming approached, the 8-layered giant waves rushed towards Lu Ming frenziedly. Raging waves. The power was incomparably terrifying. Roar! Lu Ming let out a dragon roar. His body started transforming rapidly, turning into a divine dragon. The form of the primordial divine dragon, this was the primordial divine body. The tyrant god's spear turned into a beam of light, flying into the dragon horn of the primordial divine dragon, fusing together with the dragon horn. Lu Ming gave a loud cry and rushed towards the 8-layered giant waves. The dragon horn shone, dragon claws stepping on the air, the giant waves exploding continuously. Very soon, a gap was opened up by Lu Ming. Lu Ming rushed through. 8-layered giant waves, cleared. Huff, huff. Lu Ming breathed heavily. The 8-layered giant waves were not that easy to pass. Just now, Lu Ming had used almost all of his strength to barely pass through. After the 8-layered giant waves, everything was calm. A small island stood there quietly. The center of the island was emitting a dazzling light. Divine power was constantly pouring into the measure character formula, replenishing the divine power that Lu Ming had just consumed. This allowed Lu Ming to maintain his peak state. What is here? Lu Ming showed curiosity and anticipation as he rushed towards the island. There was nothing special on the island. There were some plants growing very densely. Hey! Divine herbs. Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He saw a divine herb that was extremely rich in life energy. Lu Ming did not hesitate to pluck it and put it away. Then he started to wander around. This island was incomparably rich in divine energy, just like the Black Dragon Valley. After a while, Lu Ming found dozens of divine herbs and 6 Genesis grasses. This was a great harvest. In the end, Lu Ming came to the center of the island. The rays of light were emitted from the center of the island. As soon as he came to the center of the island, he saw a pool of water. The pool water was blood red, and there seemed to be small dragons swimming in it. A powerful dragon aura spread out from his body. This is a dragon pool? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Legend had it that the dragon race's mother planet would give birth to a dragon pool. For the dragon race, cultivating in it would be very beneficial. However, in the battle dozens of stellar years ago, many dragon pools were either destroyed or hidden. He did not expect to see one here. It is indeed an opportunity. Lu Ming smiled. The water in the dragon pool was extremely rich in energy. If he could absorb and refine it, it would be very beneficial. Without hesitation, Lu Ming jumped down into the pool water and then activated his cultivation technique. Roar! Immediately, the water in the pool seemed to be boiling. Dragon roars could be heard. Following which, waves of energy transformed into tiny divine dragons and entered Lu Ming's pores. Moreover, as soon as these small dragons drilled into his pores, they rushed into Lu Ming's blood vessels and rushed toward his heart. Roar! In his heart, the 7 drops of primordial divine blood suddenly wriggled and turned into 7 divine dragons. They opened their mouths and swallowed these small dragons. Not long after, a new drop of primordial divine blood appeared. When this drop of primordial divine blood appeared, it was still very small. However, as energy was injected into it, it slowly grew. The water in the dragon pool can be transformed into primordial divine blood? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The more primordial divine blood he had, the stronger his combat power would be. No, it's not good to transform so much of the pool water into primordial divine blood. It's better to leave some for cultivation. With this thought, Lu Ming closed his eyes and activated the Universe Myriad Dao technique to compete with the primordial divine blood for energy and transform it into divine power. Time flew by quickly as Lu Ming cultivated. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. However, outside, there was an uproar. Someone sent the video of the battle between Lu Ming and the black-robed youth to the illusory sacred jade, causing an uproar. Lu Ming's combat power was unexpectedly strong. He could counterattack and kill several geniuses under the siege of so many experts. Chapter 36-33. Especially the clans behind the slain Sky Prides. They were all furious, especially the Wu people and the Winged Men clan. A terrifying existence of the Winged Men clan even personally issued an order in the illusory Heavenly Jade, summoning all the sky prides of the Winged Men clan on the Dragon clan's mother planet to gather at the Tsonglang Lake. They must kill Lu Ming. For a time, all the sky prides of the Winged Men clan on the Dragon clan's mother planet gathered at the Tsonglang Lake. Not long after, someone spread the news that the golden winged man killed by Lu Ming was the son of a big shot in the Winged Men clan. The higher the cultivation, the harder it was to have children. Because the level of life was too high, it was very difficult to have children. That big shot from the Winged Men clan was already quite old. It was not easy for him to have a son. Naturally, he doted on him in every possible way. He sent him to the Dragon clan's mother planet with the intention of nurturing him well, not to send him to his death. Therefore, when the big shot of the Winged Men clan saw his son killed, he was furious and his killing intent shook the void. There were also rumors that the big shot of the Winged Men clan had already rushed over from the Winged Men clan's headquarters to the Dragon clan's mother planet. He also spread the news that he would reward whoever could kill Lu Ming with great treasures. For a time, the public area of the illusory heavenly jade was full of discussions about Lu Ming. Then, the sky prides of various clans on the soaring dragon continent gathered at the Tsonglang Lake. Half a month later, the number of people at the Tsonglang Lake increased by at least 10 times. There were more than 2 groups of people from the Winged Men clan. There were more than 100 people from the Wu people. There were the Heavenly Bull clan, the Black Horse clan, the Sky clan, the Flowerless clan, and so on. They were all famous clans on the list of 10,000 clans. Each clan had more than 100 sky prides. There are huge waves blocking the way at the Tsonglang Lake. How can we rush in and kill Lu Ming? That kid has probably rushed to the deepest part of the Tsonglang Lake and obtained the opportunity there. He is already strong. Will he become stronger now? Will he be more difficult to deal with? Someone spoke with a grave expression. After all, back then, more than a dozen facing top heaven's prides, there were even 2 4th-level Divine Lord monsters among them. So many people joining hands and could not do anything to Lu Ming. Instead, they had several people killed by Lu Ming consecutively. Some people were also unsure. Look at how timid you are. How many people do we have here? Even if I spit a mouthful of saliva, I can also drown him to death. Furthermore, I discovered that many terrifying monsters have come. Terrifying monsters at the 4th-level Divine Lord realm, there are no less than 10. There are even people who already broke through to the 5th-level Divine Lord realm. What? Someone already reached 5th-level Divine Lord? Of course, there are many opportunities in the Dragon race's mother planet. It's normal for some terrifying monsters to obtain some top-notch opportunities and improve their cultivation by leaps and bounds. This made many people green with envy. They entered the Dragon clan's home planet. Just how long had it been and someone already broke through to 5th-level Divine Lord? When they entered, the highest was just 3rd-level Divine Lord. Such a short time, entering 5th-level Divine Lord. This kind of improvement speed truly made people envious. It's not difficult to break through the giant waves. As long as we form a battle formation and everyone works together, it won't be difficult to break through. A winged race prodigy said. This winged race prodigy looked very strange. Half of his body was golden yellow, and the other half was silver white. He was called Winged God. Those who knew Winged God all had somewhat solemn expressions. Among the winged race prodigies who entered this time, this person was the leader. He was a very terrifying existence. It was said that this person's bloodline had mutated. It was said that he was the son of a golden winged race prodigy and an angel. His strength was shockingly powerful. That's right. Moreover, after breaking through the giant waves, we can still form a battle formation and kill Lu Ming. No matter how strong Lu Ming is, there's only death for him. A young man from the Wu people said coldly. The expressions of the people from the Wu people were very ugly. Several hundred of them entered, but now there were not many people left. At least 100 people could not be contacted. If they could not contact them, naturally, they were doomed. Of course, they did not know that over 100 people had been killed by Lu Ming and Aoguan in the Evil Soul Valley. If they knew, their desire to kill Lu Ming would probably be even stronger. In that case, let's break through the giant waves with each race as a unit. Let's do that. The voices continued to be heard. The people of different races began to gather and form different battle formations. After forming the battle formations, the power of these people could be gathered and twisted into a force, and their strength would increase exponentially. Attack. At least 100 races formed battle formations and rushed toward the center of the surging waves lake. The different battle formations turned into powerful attacks and attacked the giant waves. The first giant wave exploded. These people rushed through without any resistance. Then, there were 2 giant waves. The battle formations formed by these people were too powerful. The giant waves could not be stopped at all. Moreover, there were terrifying monsters in each race. For example, the fire centipede race was only ranked 10,000 on the primordial 10,000 races list. The strongest among them, the red-haired young man, was not weak. The strongest sky prides of the other races were naturally stronger. 2 giant waves, 3 giant waves, 4 giant waves. They could not be stopped. Even the 7 giant waves at the back were the same. Only the 8 giant waves at the back had some effect on these people. A few races could not pass through the 8 giant waves even after forming battle formations. However, there were still more than 100 races who formed battle formations and rushed through the giant waves. Once they rushed through the giant waves, they flew toward the small island and surrounded it. Are they finally here? In the Dragon Lake, Lu Ming opened his eyes and soared into the sky, standing high in the sky. On this small island, the suppression seemed to have disappeared. One could fly in the air. Only on the lake water would one be suppressed. It's that kid from the dragon human race. He is indeed here. The light here is dim. He has taken all the opportunities. As soon as Lu Ming appeared, the people of the various races rushed toward Lu Ming. There were people on all sides of the small island, and they surrounded Lu Ming. That's right. After half a month of absorption and refinement, the lake water in the Dragon Lake had been completely absorbed and refined by Lu Ming. This time, Lu Ming had gained a lot. Most of the energy in the Dragon Lake had been converted into primordial divine blood. This time, Lu Ming had condensed a total of 11 drops of primordial divine blood. In addition to the 7 drops from before, Lu Ming had a total of 18 drops of primordial divine blood in his body. Lu Ming was not sure how powerful the 18 drops of primordial divine blood were when activated together. In addition, although most of the energy had been converted into primordial divine blood, a small portion was absorbed by Lu Ming and turned into divine power. This allowed Lu Ming's cultivation to have another breakthrough. He reached the 3rd level Divine Lord realm in one go. With 11 more drops of primordial divine blood and a breakthrough to the 3rd level Divine Lord realm, Lu Ming's combat strength had undoubtedly risen to a terrifying level. Chapter 36-34. How lively! Lu Ming looked around and smiled faintly. He was not nervous at all. Kid, let's see how you'll die this time. A winged men prodigy shouted coldly with a ferocious look in his eyes. See how I'll die. Do you think the winged men can kill me? I'm afraid it won't be that easy. Lu Ming said with a hint of disdain in his voice. There are so many of us here. Killing you will be a piece of cake. The winged men prodigy sneered. So many of you want to kill me? Lu Ming pretended to be surprised. He looked around and said, If I remember correctly, I don't have any grudges with most of the people here. Why should they kill me? Kid, you're a native. How dare you be so arrogant and kill so many of our people? Some big shots have already ordered to kill you. Your fate is sealed. A young man from another race said, Ha ha ha. Lu Ming suddenly burst into laughter. Everyone was baffled by his laughter. Kid, what are you laughing at? Someone asked coldly. You're here to kill me for the rewards from the angels, the soul race, and the blood race, right? Lu Ming said loudly. Many people's eyes flashed with doubt. Someone asked, How do you know about this? The content was all mentioned in the illusory divine jade. How did a native know about it? It's simple. I'm not a native of the dragon race's mother planet. I'm a human from the outside. I also have the illusory divine jade. Of course I know. Lu Ming said. What? Many people couldn't help but widen their eyes in shock. Lu Ming was not a native, but an outsider like them? How was that possible? Didn't they say that Lu Ming was a native? Don't listen to his nonsense. If he wants to quibble, kill him first. The winged god from the winged men shouted coldly, "If I'm not a native, you won't get any rewards even if you kill me." Lu Ming said loudly. Sure enough, many people hesitated and did not make a move. And you winged men clearly know me. You've seen me outside the dragon race's mother planet, but you didn't say anything. Instead, you slandered me by saying that I'm a native of the dragon race's mother planet. You're the ones with ulterior motives, Lu Ming shouted. As soon as he said this, many people's expressions changed. Some of them looked at the winged men in confusion. That was right, Lu Ming's identity. There were 100 clans present. Among these clans, there were some very powerful experts. If these people were to form a combat formation and join forces with so many people, even if Lu Ming had a major breakthrough, it would be very dangerous. He might perish here. Furthermore, Lu Ming did not want to offend so many clans at the same time. The best way? Why did these races want to kill him? They had no enmity with him. They were only after the rewards from the 3 races. However, if he was not a local, then there would be no reward for killing him. Therefore, as long as he revealed his identity, most of the races here would not attack him. Why would they offend a demon like Lu Ming if they had no enmity with him? Nonsense. Don't listen to his quibbling. It's not the winged men who said you're a native. It was the fire centipede race who said so. Moreover, we heard that you're very close to the dragon human race. The winged god shouted. Then let me answer you. Firstly, I'm very close to the local dragonborn because I want to make use of them to help me search for treasures. Everyone does this. Previously, the fire centipede clan wanted to snatch the ruins that I occupied, so I fought with them. Therefore, it's normal for them to frame me. For example, I have a grudge with the winged clan outside, so you guys framed me. Lu Ming answered. His expression remained calm. You're still quibbling. You're clearly a dragon human race. You have the aura of a divine dragon. When you fight, you have dragon scales on your body. A winged men's supreme talent shouted. You have the aura of a divine dragon and dragon scales on your body when you fight. You're a dragon human race? Don't you know about the primordial divine body? The primordial divine body that I cultivate is related to dragons. Lu Ming explained calmly. Many people nodded. That was indeed the case. Dozens of stellar years ago, the divine dragon race was too powerful. Divine dragons could be found all over the universe. There were even legends of divine dragons in many small worlds. Therefore, all the major races had their own secret techniques related to the divine dragon race. Many secret techniques could be used to condense the form of a divine dragon to attack. For example, the divine dragon aspect technique. Of course, there were even more people who cultivated secret techniques related to the divine dragon race. For example, the famous snake race and python race in the universe loved to cultivate secret techniques related to the divine dragon race. It was normal for Lu Ming to cultivate the primordial divine dragon body. If you don't believe me, you can take a look at this. After saying that, Lu Ming's glabella lit up and the dreamy sacred jade appeared. I have the dreamy sacred jade. This proves that I'm not a native, right? Lu Ming said. It's really the dreamy sacred jade. He refined the dreamy sacred jade. It seems that what he said is true. He came from the outside just like us. So it was a mistake after all this time. Many people shook their heads in disappointment. Initially, if they killed Lu Ming, they would be rewarded by the 3 clans. Now, it was proven that Lu Ming was the same as them. He came from the outside and was not a local. In that case, there would be no reward for killing Lu Ming. There was no reward, and there was no enmity between them and Lu Ming. Why would they kill him? So there was a mistake. Then the meteor race will not participate in this. The heavenly rock race will not participate either. We will not participate either. The experts of the various races shook their heads and retreated, indicating that they would not get involved in this mess. The faces of Yishun and the others turned ugly. Soon, only 10 of the 100 races did not retreat. Everyone, we have no enmity between us. If we fight, it won't be good for us. Lu Ming looked at the other races. There were a few races that had a good relationship with the winged men and the Wu people, but they were hesitating at the moment. Humph, even if it's just the winged men, We can still kill you. Ishan snorted. His face was gloomy and murderous. Count the Wu people in. A young man from the Wu people said coldly. More than 100 Wu people were emitting black qi. Count us in, another race said. This was a plant race that was formed by vines. Lu Ming had killed one of their top prodigies, and they would eventually settle the score. Count us in, another clan spoke. This was the Divine Bull clan. Previously, a top-notch demon from their clan had died in Lu Ming's hands. In the end, a total of 4 races made it clear that they wanted to kill Lu Ming. Chapter 36-35. There were a total of 4 races guarding the 4 directions. Each race had at least 100 people. Powerful auras gathered and pressed down on Lu Ming. The air was filled with oppressive pressure. Why are you talking so much nonsense with him? Just attack. A sky pride of the Wu people said in a harsh voice. Then, more than 100 young men of the Wu people formed a battle formation. Each of them took out a divine artifact, which was a sound wave-type divine artifact. Dong 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 dong, all kinds of sounds were heard at the same time. Then, they gathered together and rushed toward Lu Ming. So many people formed a battle formation and launched soul attacks at the same time. Even Lu Ming's expression changed. He didn't dare to be careless. With so many people attacking at the same time, even the Wicked Bell would not be able to withstand it. Their souls would be shattered. Therefore, the moment the Wu people attacked, Lu Ming condensed the Wind Destroyer boots and merged them with his feet. There was no suppression in the sky above the island. The power of the Wind Destroyer boots could be fully displayed. With a step in the air, Lu Ming's figure disappeared from the spot with a swoosh. The next moment, he appeared behind the winged men, causing the wizard clan's soul attack to miss. Kill! The sky prides of the winged men roared. They formed a battle formation and launched their attacks. Their attacks converged into a vast sword light and slashed toward Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming naturally wouldn't fight with so many people. He flashed and dodged the attack. Get out of the way. Let us do it. The Wu people shouted. Now that Lu Ming was behind the winged men, the Wu people couldn't launch their soul attacks. Otherwise, the winged men would bear the brunt of the soul attacks, not Lu Ming. To the right. The god of wings shouted and ordered the winged men to retreat to the right to make room for the sorcerer tribesmen. However, how could Lu Ming let them have their way? As soon as the winged men moved, he moved as well. He hid behind the winged men, not giving the Wu people an angle to attack. The winged men were furious. They launched attacks at Lu Ming. However, with their combined strength, they could only launch a single attack. With Lu Ming's speed, he easily dodged their attacks. There's no need to use soul attacks. We'll just surround him and crush him directly. A Heaven's Pride leader of the Divine Ox clan roared. He led the Divine Ox clan people to form a battle formation and rushed over from another direction to surround Lu Ming. Ring ring ring. Lu Ming manipulated the Wicked Bell, and his soul attack turned into sound waves that spread out, rushing toward the Winged Men clan and the Divine Ox clan. The people of the Wu people were in another direction. They were blocked by the people of the Winged Men clan. Naturally, they could not provide any support. Now that Lu Ming's cultivation had broken through to the 3rd level of the Divine Lord realm, the power of the Wicked Bell was even more terrifying. Many people's bodies stiffened as they revealed expressions of pain. They felt as though their souls were being pierced by sharp swords. Someone screamed. Even if they formed a battle formation, they would not be able to withstand the soul attacks. Then, let's kill. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with cold killing intent. His cultivation of the 3rd level of the Divine Lord realm erupted completely. Moreover, he had activated 8 drops of primordial divine blood. Lu Ming felt that his body was filled with explosive power. Swoosh! Lu Ming turned into a dazzling spear light and stabbed at a Winged Men clan's pride. However, the Winged Men clan's pride was not afraid because he was in a battle formation. Being in a battle formation, they were one. Slash! The Winged Men clan youth roared. His body glowed, and the entire battle formation emitted a dazzling light. Then, a battle sword slashed at Lu Ming. Boom! The battle sword collided with Lu Ming's spear light. The spear light shook violently, and a terrifying force surged toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body trembled, and he retreated. What a powerful force! Lu Ming frowned. Although his current strength was shocking, the Winged Min clan's battle formation had gathered the strength of more than 200 people. The combined strength of more than 200 Sky Prides was too terrifying. Moo! A bull's roar came from behind. A giant bull roared and rushed toward Lu Ming. Its two horns were like two heavenly blades. This was the battle formation formed by the Divine Bull Clan. It launched a terrifying attack. The energy gathered to form a heavenly bull. Its strength was shocking. Lu Ming naturally would not take it head-on. His figure flashed, and he dodged the attack. Then, the Winged Min Clan, Divine Bull Clan, and Vine Min Clan continued to attack. However, Lu Ming had the support of the wind-extinguishing boots, and his speed was amazing. He dodged them one by one. The Wu people wanted to rush forward, but Lu Ming kept dodging the Wu people. He isolated the Wu people behind a certain race so that they could not attack Lu Ming directly. The Wu people were furious. After dozens of attacks, the four races could not even touch the corner of Lu Ming's clothes. Damn it, kid. If you have the ability, don't dodge. Fight head-on. The Winged Min clan roared. You four races have surrounded me with hundreds of people and formed a battle formation. You want me to fight head-on? Is this the behavior of the major races on the list of primitive 10,000 races? You're really shameless. Fine, I'll fight you head-on. Come on, let's fight one-on-one. Lu Ming's mocking voice sounded. No one answered. Indeed, with so many people besieging Lu Ming was not allowed to dodge? How could this be? This can't go on. I have to think of a way to separate them. Lu Ming thought quickly. The four races had formed a battle formation. There were at least 100 people from each race, and their strength was connected. This force was too strong. Even if Lu Ming used his full strength, he would not be a match for them. He had to separate them. I'm not going to play with you anymore. Goodbye. Lu Ming's voice sounded, and then he suddenly rushed out. It seemed that he was going to leave this place. Don't let him escape. He's trying to escape. Chase him. Immediately, roars were heard. They thought that Lu Ming was going to escape. This time, all the major clans had gathered here to besiege Lu Ming, and they had even formed a battle formation. If Lu Ming were to escape, they would be utterly embarrassed, especially the Winged Min clan. Kid, stay here. God of Wings of the Winged Min clan roared and chased after Lu Ming as fast as he could. A few other top experts of the Winged Min clan also chased after Lu Ming. In addition, the top geniuses of the Divine Ox clan, Wu people, and other clans did the same. If they formed a battle formation, their speed would be too slow, and they would definitely not be able to catch up with Lu Ming. Therefore, some of the strongest geniuses left the battle formation and chased after Lu Ming. In this way, the battle formation of the major clans was suddenly broken. This is a good chance. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. His body suddenly stopped, and then he flickered a few times. His phantoms were all over the sky. He directly avoided God of Wings and the other strongest people and rushed into the crowd of the Winged Min clan. Oh no! The faces of the Winged Min clan and the others changed drastically. Kill! Lu Ming roared, and the tyrant god's spear burst out. In an instant, at least a dozen terrifying spear lights stabbed in all directions. Chapter 36:36. Lu Ming was surrounded by members of the Winged Min clan. Because the Winged Min clan's formation was dispersed, Lu Ming seized the opportunity to rush into the crowd. Dozens of spear lights pierced toward dozens of members of the Winged Min clan. Most of the Winged Min clan's prodigies were third-level divine lords. Lu Ming was now on the same level as them. At the same level, Lu Ming's combat ability was much stronger than theirs. Even if it was scattered into dozens of streaks, the power of each spear light was enough to kill those third-level divine lords. Puff, puff, puff. Blood splattered everywhere as screams rang out. In an instant, more than 30 Winged Min clan's prodigies were pierced by the spear light and died on the spot. Their corpses fell onto the small island. Ishan's eyes turned red when he saw this scene. Ah, damn it. Retreat. Retreat quickly. Ishan roared crazily. Retreat quickly. The Winged Min clan also panicked and retreated frantically. However, was there any way to retreat? The answer was no. Kill. Lu Ming roared as the tyrant god's spear stabbed and swept out continuously. The entire sky was filled with spear lights. This was a massacre. In a battle of the same level, those so-called prodigies were like lambs waiting to be slaughtered when facing Lu Ming. They couldn't withstand a single blow. Every move and every spear would kill a winged Min clan's prodigy. In addition, Lu Ming's speed was too fast. These winged Min clan's prodigies couldn't dodge at all. In an instant, dozens of people died in Lu Ming's hands. In just a short while, 60 to 70 winged Min clan's prodigies were killed by Lu Ming. Die. Ishan finally rushed back. His eyes were filled with malevolent killing intent. One side of his body was silver-white while the other side was golden yellow, emitting a dazzling radiance. He dashed toward Lu Ming. Two rays of dazzling sword gleams, one gold and one silver, slashed toward Lu Ming. Fifth-level divine lords. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes slightly. The Winged Min clan was well-deserving of being a top major clan ranked 130 on the primeval 10,000 races list. The strongest person who came here this time, Winged God, actually already reached 5th-level Divine Lord, although it looked like he had just broken through not long ago. Very good. No matter how many ordinary geniuses I kill, it's better to kill a top genius. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold as he brandished the Overlord God's spear and swept it towards Winged God. Boom! After two loud explosions, Ishan's body trembled violently as he retreated. Your power! Ishan roared in shock. He was somewhat in disbelief. He was the strongest prodigy of the Winged Min clan that entered this place this time. Moreover, he had already broken through to the 5th-level Divine Lord realm. His cultivation was one level higher than Lu Ming's. In a head-on confrontation, he was actually no match for Lu Ming. Kill. Lu Ming could not be bothered with Winged God. He continued to attack Winged God. Although Winged God was very strong, his cultivation just broke through to 5th-level Divine Lord not long ago. His foundation was not even stable yet, and Lu Ming had activated 8 drops of primordial divine blood just now. His power was already above Winged God's. Of course, it was still not enough. The moment he attacked, Lu Ming activated 2 more drops of primordial divine blood. Activating 10 drops of primordial divine blood made his power even more shocking. Boom! Lu Ming's long spear was like a dragon, several thousand meters long. It pressed down on Winged God like a mountain range. This was Winged God's origin secret technique. When the origin secret technique exploded, Winged God suffered a backlash. His body shook violently as he vomited blood wildly. Ding-ling-ling. The heavenly evil bell rang continuously. At the same time, Lu Ming became one with his spear and attacked Winged God. No! Winged God roared in despair. The next moment, his body was penetrated by Lu Ming. His eyes were filled with disbelief and despair. He was unwilling to accept this. Following that, cracks appeared on his body. The next moment, his body directly exploded, and he died on the spot. The strongest prodigy of the Winged Men who had entered this place this time had died. All of this happened in an extremely short time. Even if the others wanted to save him, they wouldn't be able to. What a powerful battle strength. There were over 100 large races and countless prodigies in the surroundings. At this moment, they all gasped. Winged God had already broken through to the 5th level of the Divine Lord realm. His power was absolutely terrifying, but he couldn't stop Lu Ming. In just a few moves, he was killed by Lu Ming. This was truly terrifying. He's from the human race, right? Yes, he's indeed from the human race. There's always a rumor that the human race is a special race. They're scattered throughout the universe. At first, they're weak, but their potential is endless. Many terrifying existences have been born in history. That's right. There's even a taboo. Many people were discussing. After some people said the word taboo, they stopped abruptly and revealed a fearful expression. They didn't dare to say more. At this moment, the winged men around Lu Ming had already fled far away. They didn't dare to approach Lu Ming at all. The Wu people, the Divine Bull tribe, and the Vine tribe were even more shocked. They quickly gathered together and formed a battle formation. They didn't dare to disperse. Lu Ming waved his hand and put away the storage rings of the prodigies of the winged men he had just killed. Looks like there's no chance. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. After the killing just now, the remaining Wu people and the Divine Bull tribe wouldn't dare to disperse. If they didn't disperse, Lu Ming wouldn't have a chance to kill them. This isn't over yet. A ray of cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. Without a battle formation, you won't be able to withstand a single blow. Lu Ming sneered and then rushed out of the small island. The Wu people and the Divine Bull tribe didn't dare to disperse at all. They could only watch as Lu Ming rushed out of the small island and disappeared in front of them. When he went out, the giant waves wouldn't attack him. Lu Ming easily got out of the Conglang Lake. After leaving the Conglang Lake, Lu Ming didn't leave. Instead, he found a secluded place to hide and observe the entire Conglang Lake. Even if they didn't chase after him, it didn't mean that Lu Ming would let it go. With so many people besieging him, Lu Ming didn't want to let it go. Anyway, he had offended the Wu people, the winged men, and the Divine Bull tribe. There was no room for reconciliation. So Lu Ming wouldn't let them have it easy. He wanted to kill them until they were terrified. After hiding, Lu Ming took out the illusory sacred jade and watched it. Sure enough, the illusory sacred jade was in an uproar. There were so many races and people. Naturally, someone had recorded everything with the illusory sacred jade. There were even videos from different angles. They could watch it however they wanted. This caused an uproar, whether it was inside or outside the Dragon Clan's mother planet. First, to everyone's surprise, Lu Ming wasn't a native of the Dragon Clan's mother planet. He was a human who came from outside. Therefore, most of the races didn't attack Lu Ming. Second, Lu Ming's strength was beyond everyone's expectations. The winged men suffered heavy losses. Even the strongest genius who entered the Dragon Clan's mother planet, the winged god, was killed. The winged men were shocked. The winged men who were rushing over was furious. They swore to kill Lu Ming in the illusory sacred jade. But this time, the three major clans didn't say anything. After all, they wanted to kill a native, and Lu Ming wasn't a native of the Dragon Clan's mother planet. Even if he was strong, the three major clans wouldn't be interested. Chapter 36-37. The top 10 races in the universe were too powerful. Naturally, they were not to be underestimated. Since Lu Ming was not a native of the dragon race, even if he had some strength, he could not attract the interest of the three races. In terms of talent, there were countless talented geniuses in the three major clans. Although the winged god was considered a top-notch monster in the winged men race, he was nothing in the top 10 races. He couldn't even be ranked. Lu Ming looked at it for a while, then put it away and waited. As expected, not long after, people could be seen walking out from the center of the Conglang Lake. Lu Ming had taken all the treasures on that island. There was no point for those people to stay there. Naturally, they would not stay for long. The Wu people are coming out too. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He saw that the people from the sorcerer tribe had also come out from a certain direction. Lu Ming walked along the lakeside and quietly headed in that direction. The Wu people were very cautious. They were still maintaining their formation. Obviously, they were afraid that Lu Ming would sneak up on them. However, when they left the lake and found that they were not attacked, many of them were slightly relieved. The prodigies of more than 100 races scattered and left in different directions. The sorcerer tribesmen also left in the same direction. Lu Ming concealed his aura and slowly chased after them. He did not make a move. Now was not the best time. Lu Ming followed them for a few hours. Sure enough, after a few hours, the Wu people were completely relaxed. They did not continue to maintain their formation and flew forward casually. Now, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He stepped on the wind-extinguishing boots and rushed out suddenly. With a flash of light and shadow, Lu Ming dashed to the back of the sorcerer tribe's team. With a thought, the gate of domination flew out and became extremely huge, suppressing the void. Then, the Overlord's spear appeared and stabbed out dozens of spear lights. Lu Ming's speed was too fast. These sorcerer tribesmen did not have time to react. The spear lights pierced through dozens of Wu people and killed them on the spot. It's Lu Ming. Damn it. Watch out. Form the formation. The Wu people shouted. However, Lu Ming would not give them the chance to do so. Once he attacked continuously. Dazzling spear gleams burst forth, and more than 10 sorcerers were killed. More than 100 Wu people were killed in the blink of an eye. At this moment, many sorcerers launched their attacks. All kinds of soul attacks surged toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming flashed rapidly to avoid the other party's soul attack. At the same time, he used the Bell of Heavenly Evil to offset the other party's soul attack. Kill! Lu Ming yelled. This time, he unleashed all his energy. All 18 drops of primordial divine blood were unleashed. Lu Ming's power reached its peak. Boom! Lu Ming held the Overlord's spear with both hands and swung it from top to bottom. The power was too strong. The space shook violently. The terrifying power had actually blasted the Sorcerer tribe's soul attack away and destroyed it directly. It seems that the Wu people's soul attacks are not invincible. As long as one's power is strong enough, one can break their soul attacks. Lu Ming's heart stirred. After all, soul attacks were just a kind of energy. They were strange, but as long as they were energy, they could be broken. Otherwise, the Wu people would not be ranked in the top 100. Those races that were stronger than the Wu people were not afraid of the Wu people's soul attacks. At this moment, Lu Ming was valiant and invincible. He brandished his long spear and broke through the soul attack of the Sorcerer tribe, charging forward. Every time he swung his spear, a Wu people elite was killed. With the Gate of Domination suppressing the void, the Wu people's elites could not even use scarecrows. To others, the prodigies of the Sorcerer tribe might be very tricky and difficult to deal with. However, to Lu Ming, they were easier to kill than other prodigies. One spear strike, one or several. The Wu people's elites were killed one by one. It's you, kid. The Wu people will not let you go. How ruthless. The Wu people's elites will avenge us. The Wu people's elites roared, but in the next moment, they were all killed by Lu Ming's spear. There were also 4th-level divine lords in the Sorcerer tribe. However, in the face of the current Lu Ming, they could not even escape and could not escape the fate of being killed. Towards the end, the Sorcerer tribesmen had already started to flee in all directions. However, Lu Ming's speed was too fast. His 3rd-level divine lord divine power flowed into the Wind Destroyer boots, increasing his speed to the extreme. The Wu people could not escape at all. Half an hour later, Lu Ming stopped. More than 100 Wu people's elites had been killed by Lu Ming. Not a single one was left alive. After putting away the Wu people's elite storage rings, Lu Ming left and headed for the Black Dragon Valley. Now that his strength had increased by a lot, he could go deeper into the Black Dragon Valley. Not long after Lu Ming left, a few figures appeared on the battlefield where Lu Ming and the Wu people's elites had been fighting. These figures were the elites who had been in the vicinity. They had heard the sounds of the battle. However, they had not dared to come over at first. They had only dared to approach after the battle had ended and the sounds had disappeared. Then, as soon as they arrived, they were shocked. Corpses were strewn all over the ground, and some of them had even exploded. The smell of blood filled their nostrils. From the situation at the scene, they could see the horror of the battle. The Wu people. These are the elites of the Wu people. The young men's faces were pale as they trembled uncontrollably. They were from a small race that was not even ranked on the primitive 10,000 races list. The Wu people were definitely a powerful race that they could not reach. But now, these powerful Wu people's elites were all dead. Who is it that can kill so many geniuses of the Sorcerer tribe? It must be someone stronger than the Wu people, right? The young men discussed fervently. Not necessarily. You have seen the situation in the Dreamy Divine Jade previously. Lu Ming alone killed so many elites from the Wing clan despite being surrounded by the 4 major clans. Perhaps it is him? It's hard to say. It's obvious that Lu Ming has a deep grudge against the Wu people. Let's record it and send it to the Dreamy Heavenly Jade. Immediately, the young men took out their Dreamy Heavenly Jades to record the scene and send it to the Dreamy Heavenly Jade. The Dreamy Heavenly Jade was shaken. More than 100 Wu people's elites had been killed not long after they had left. Who could it be? Everyone immediately thought of Lu Ming. Many people looked at each other in shock. The more they thought about it, the more likely it was. Soon, Lu Ming's name spread across the universe. When the Wu people's elites saw the news, they were furious. It was said that some of the Wu people's elites had rushed over from the Wu people's headquarters. Of course, Lu Ming saw everything as well. He sneered and was not bothered. Chapter 36-38. After returning to the Black Dragon Valley, Lu Ming did not enter the Black Dragon Valley immediately. Instead, he began to cultivate. He still had some Genesis grass in his hands. After refining it, his strength would increase a little. It would not be too late to enter the Black Dragon Valley then. 10 days later, Lu Ming refined all the Genesis grass in his hands. Lu Ming had another 2 types of divine powers that had undergone 5 awakenings. In this way, Lu Ming had a total of 7 types of divine powers that had undergone 5 awakenings. His overall strength had increased by a little again. After that, Lu Ming entered the Black Dragon Valley and explored it. This time, Lu Ming had greatly improved. With his current battle strength, even if he was suppressed, killing a 5th-level Divine Lord was a piece of cake. He could even kill a 6th-level Divine Lord. Therefore, Lu Ming had greatly improved this time and obtained a large amount of divine herbs. Inside, there were a total of 9 stalks of Genesis grass. In addition, he obtained several hundred stalks of various divine herbs. There were even a few stalks of divine herbs that were of very high grade. They were extremely helpful to divine emperors. It was a pity that Lu Ming could not refine divine herbs of this grade. Even if he gave the measure formula, the refining speed would not be that fast. Lu Ming had already given the measure formula a stalk of such divine herb previously. Although energy was refined and poured into Lu Ming's body every day, it was impossible for Lu Ming's cultivation to skyrocket all of a sudden. It only increased Lu Ming's cultivation speed. Lu Ming was already very satisfied. In the primitive universe, monarch pills were the currency of the Divine Lord realm. However, the divine herbs here were much more effective than monarch pills. If he refined all of these, it would greatly increase Lu Ming's cultivation speed. However, Lu Ming did not intend to refine these divine herbs because his cultivation had skyrocketed during this period of time. It had only been a few months, and his cultivation had skyrocketed from 1st-level Divine Lord realm to 3rd-level Divine Lord realm. He had to stop and polish his foundation. Once his foundation was incomparably stable, he would continue to improve. However, the life origin grass could be refined. When Lu Ming left the Black Dragon Valley and returned to the Black Dragon family, he suddenly sensed that someone was sending him a message from the Dream God Jade. Lu Ming was slightly taken aback. There was only one person who knew the name of his illusory godly jade, and that was Man Ning, who came from the Sacred Fire Saber sect with him. When Lu Ming had rushed into the Dragon Clan's mother planet, he had been attacked by 10,000 dragon seals. He had thrown Man Ning away. During this time, he hadn't heard any news from Man Ning. Originally, Lu Ming had thought that Man Ning had encountered a mishap. After all, it wasn't safe on the dragon race's home planet either. The prodigies of various races were secretly killing each other. He's nearby. According to Man Ning's message, he was not far away. Lu Ming replied to Man Ning's message and then rushed towards the message sent by Man Ning. Not long after, Lu Ming saw Man Ning on a mountain peak. "Miss Manning, how have you been?" Lu Ming smiled and sized up Man Ning. He discovered that her cultivation was still at the 3rd-level Divine Lord realm. Brother Lu is now limitless and famous all over the world. Man Ning admires you. Man Ning smiled faintly. When she looked at Lu Ming, her eyes were extremely complicated. Lu Ming was merely the same as her, from the Sacred Fire Saber sect. Furthermore, Lu Ming was not even a disciple of the Sacred Fire Saber sect. Clearly, his background was even worse than hers. But not long after entering the dragon race's home planet, Lu Ming had already soared to the sky, even making those major races on the Chaos 10,000 races list fearful. And now, Lu Ming's cultivation was even more unfathomable by Man Ning. She was envious and helpless in her heart. Perhaps this was the difference between people. What limitless? I'm being hunted down every day now. My head hurts. Lu Ming laughed bitterly and said again, "Oh right, how has Miss Man Ning been recently?" Sigh. Man Ning sighed and told him about her situation during this period of time. Back then, when she was thrown away by Lu Ming, she did not suffer the attack of the 10,000 dragon seals. Therefore, she was not injured and maintained her peak condition. Therefore, she quickly occupied a ruin. In the beginning, she obtained quite a number of opportunities. Unfortunately, good times did not last long. As those prodigies of the major races rapidly recovered, the ruin she occupied was snatched away by other major races. She was forced to flee. After a period of time, she wandered everywhere. However, there were figures of major races everywhere. She alone had no competitiveness at all. In fact, it was not just her. Those races and factions that were not on the Chaos 10,000 races list also did not have much competitiveness. Firstly, they had fewer people. Secondly, their combat strength was still very far from those major races. The stronger the race, the greater the gap between them. Under such circumstances, these small races and factions might not even have a chance to drink soup. Therefore, these small races and factions all joined forces and occupied some small ruins with their advantage in numbers. As for Man Ning, he had joined such an organization. Lu Ming nodded. Although the dragon race's mother planet was very big, the number of ruins and cultivation sacred grounds was limited. Almost all the major races and factions in the entire primitive universe except for the top 100 had come. One could imagine how fierce the competition was. The ruins and sacred grounds on the dragon race's mother planet were not enough to be distributed. Without strength, one could not obtain many resources at all. There were very few people like Lu Ming who occupied several ruins alone. Miss Man Ning, why are you looking for me? Lu Ming asked. Lu Ming, I heard some things from others. The remaining winged men, Wu people, and other races do not intend to let you go. In addition, I also heard that some of the winged men entered the dragon race's mother planet more than 30 years ago. Man Ning said. More than 30 years ago. Lu Ming frowned slightly. His face was a little solemn. More than 30 years ago, it was also a weak period of the 10,000 dragon seals. There was a group of people who broke through the 18 weak points. But even if it was a weak period at that time, it was still very dangerous. Most of the geniuses who broke through the weak points died. But who could guarantee that no one succeeded in breaking in? Lu Ming suspected that most people had succeeded in breaking in. These people had entered 33 years earlier than Lu Ming and the others. Even if they were seriously injured when they entered, their injuries must have healed long ago after so many years. Moreover, they had cultivated on the dragon race's mother planet for so many years. How strong would their cultivation be? It was probably very shocking. The only thing that made Lu Ming feel a little relieved was that the 10,000 dragon seals had a stronger repulsion towards those with higher cultivation. For example, when Lu Ming and the others entered, only 3rd-level Divine Lords were allowed to enter. If 4th-level Divine Lords forced their way in, they would definitely die. Of course, as time passed, the repulsion of the 10,000 dragon seals weakened. During the next week period, it might allow 4th-level Divine Lords, or even those with higher cultivation to enter here. However, more than 30 years ago, it seemed that the repulsion towards 3rd-level Divine Lords was also very strong. Therefore, those who entered at that time were likely 2nd-level or 1st-level Divine Lords. Therefore, even if they entered a few decades earlier, their cultivation should not be too exaggerated. Thoughts flashed through Lu Ming's mind. Chapter 36-39. Brother Lu, I heard that the winged men have gone to invite this prodigy who entered more than 30 years ago. I'm afraid it won't be long before he arrives. You have to be careful. Man Ning said. Thank you for your reminder. Lu Ming cupped his fists. It's just a small matter. Brother Lu, you don't have to thank me. If it wasn't for you back then, I would have died under the 10,000 dragon seals. All right, I've brought the news. I won't disturb Brother Lu's cultivation anymore. Man Ning cupped her fists and was about to leave. Miss Man Ning, this is for you. Lu Ming waved his hand, and a storage ring flew to Man Ning. Man Ning subconsciously caught it and scanned it with her spiritual consciousness. She was pleasantly surprised. There were 9 stalks of divine herbs in the storage ring. Brother Lu, this is... Man Ning looked at Lu Ming. Nothing much. Thank you for your news. Lu Ming smiled and returned to the Black Dragon family. He didn't let Man Ning stay. With one more person, he would be distracted. It was most comfortable to be alone. Watching Lu Ming walk into the Black Dragon family, Man Ning took a deep breath and suppressed the excitement in her heart. 9 stalks of divine herbs. This was a huge harvest. Now, some of the smaller clans and factions had gathered together. Although they had occupied the ruins, they had too many people. It was too difficult for them to get a stalk of divine herb. Apart from the time when Man Ning had just entered the dragon race's mother planet and obtained some divine herbs, she rarely obtained any after that. With these 9 stalks of divine herbs and the ones I have, I can break through to the 4th level Divine Lord realm in one go. Man Ning's eyes flashed with a wisp of light. Once she broke through to the 4th level Divine Lord realm, she would have more say in the organization she was in. Man Ning carefully kept the 9 stalks of divine herbs and turned to leave. Black Dragon family. I entered the dragon race's mother planet more than 30 years ago. What realm has my cultivation reached now? Lu Ming pondered. Forget it. I'll improve myself first. Lu Ming shook his head. He took out the Genesis grass and began refining it. The Genesis grass was the fastest way to improve one's strength. As Lu Ming began to refine the Genesis grass, a storm was brewing in the outside world. This was because in this period of time, the number of local dragons and mystical dragons had increased. From time to time, they would appear to hunt down the geniuses of the outsiders. During this period of time, battles were raging all over the Dragon Clan's mother planet. There was also a legend that the prodigy who had entered the Dragon Clan's mother planet more than 30 years ago was about to come out. After coming out of seclusion, he would personally hunt down these Dragon Clan natives. For a moment, there were those who were looking forward to it, while there were also those who were feeling heavy-hearted. Because those who entered the mother planet of the Dragon Clan more than 30 years ago had cultivated for such a long time. How strong were those people? Among the group of people who had recently entered the Dragon Clan's mother planet, there probably weren't many who could match up to them, right? Also, how many people had managed to break into the Dragon Clan's home planet more than 30 years ago? Time passed day by day. Not long after, the winged men released a message in the dreamy heavenly jade. More than 30 years ago, someone from the Winged Men clan had successfully entered the Dragon Clan's mother planet. Now, they were about to end their seclusion and go kill Lu Ming. For a time, it attracted the attention of all parties. As for Lu Ming, he had been speeding up his cultivation. The Genesis grass was refined one by one, and Lu Ming's divine power of origin factor was also constantly breaking through. Previously, he had a total of 7 types of divine power, which had achieved 5 awakenings. After he had refined all 9 Genesis grass, he had a total of 10 types of divine power, which had achieved 5 awakenings. This had increased Lu Ming's combat strength by a few points. Is it coming? Lu Ming looked at the message in the dreamy, heavenly jade. Then let's fight, Lu Ming whispered. Then, he entered the dreamy, heavenly jade and began to speak. I am Lu Ming. Lu Ming's first sentence caused an uproar in the dreamy heavenly jade. Countless people replied to his one sentence. Of course, this also confirmed that Lu Ming was not a local, but an outsider. Bastards of the winged men, I will wait for you at the Surging Waves Peak beside the Surging Waves Lake. I will cut off your heads. This was Lu Ming's second sentence, which caused an even greater commotion. Lu Ming was challenging the winged men. At first, the winged men said that they would invite their prodigy who had entered the Dragon Clan's mother planet more than 30 years ago to kill Lu Ming. Now, Lu Ming had directly challenged the winged men. The winged men had quickly announced that they would kill Lu Ming at the Surging Waves Peak. Let's go to the Surging Waves Peak. That Lu Ming's combat strength is strong, but the winged men's prodigy who had entered the Dragon Clan more than 30 years ago. I wonder what his cultivation level is? Don't miss it. It will definitely be exciting. Many people were curious and went to the Surging Waves Lake. For a time, the Surging Waves Lake became lively again. However, Lu Ming did not go to the Surging Waves Lake immediately. He still had important things to do. He did not forget to look for Xian Yinqing and Autumn Moon. Now, he only had people from the Black Dragon Clan, the Blood Dragon Hall, and the Golden Dragon Clan to inquire about Xian Yinqing and Autumn Moon. but there were too few of them. Lu Ming took action and gathered the people from the local forces nearby. As for the outsiders, they were all killed by Lu Ming at lightning speed. Slowly, Lu Ming gathered more than a dozen local forces of the Dragon Human clan to help Lu Ming inquire about Xian Yinqing and Autumn Moon. Then, Lu Ming rushed to the Surging Waves Lake. During this time, countless people had gathered at the Surging Waves Peak beside the Surging Waves Lake. They were all prodigies from various clans. "The winged men are here," someone shouted. Sure enough, streams of light flew over from a direction. They were all prodigies of the Winged Men clan. The person in the lead was a young man in a green robe. All the prodigies of the Winged Men clan were slightly behind this young man. When they looked at him, their eyes were full of respect. "He's here." This man in green robe is the prodigy of the Winged Men clan who entered the Dragon clan's mother planet 33 years ago, right? Many people's eyes fell on the young man in green robe. This person was handsome and his eyes were sharp. When he opened and closed his eyes, it was as if two sharp swords burst out. Can you see this person's cultivation level? I can't. This person's aura is strong and unfathomable. At least, it's above mine. If it's above yours, wouldn't it be at least a 5th-level Divine Lord? Not far away, a few young men were secretly talking. These young men were top prodigies from several large clans. Their cultivation levels had already reached the 5th-level Divine Lord. However, they couldn't see through the young man in green robe's cultivation level. At least, it meant that the young man in green robe's cultivation level was above theirs. They came in a few decades earlier than us. Even if their cultivation levels weren't as high as ours when they came in back then, they have cultivated for so many years. How many resources have they obtained over these years? I'm afraid it's no small matter. These people were previously in seclusion in different sacred grounds. Now that they are going to come out, our good days may be coming to an end. These prodigies were secretly discussing, feeling a little unhappy. Chapter 3640. Whoosh! The green-robed young man stepped out and landed on the peak of Surging Wave Peak. He closed his eyes and rested. Where's Lu Ming? He's the one who asked us to fight here, but he hasn't shown up yet. Is he too afraid to come? A winged min Sky Pride shouted. His voice echoed in all directions and was filled with provocation. Back at Surging Wave Lake, these winged men were scared out of their wits by Lu Ming's massacre. They fled pathetically and did not dare to say anything arrogant. Now that the green-robed young man was here, they were full of confidence and immediately became arrogant again. Lu Ming hasn't arrived yet. We haven't seen him yet. People from the other races spoke one after another. Some of them had arrived long ago, but they had not seen Lu Ming yet. Then let's wait. The green-robed young man on Surging Wave Peak said. For a moment, the surroundings fell into silence. Time passed day by day. Soon, 6 days had passed. Lu Ming had not arrived yet. It's been 6 days, but that kid still hasn't arrived. Humph. He's really scared and has become a coward. I think he doesn't dare to accept the challenge at all. When he heard that the winged men had a Sky Pride who entered more than 30 years ago, he was probably scared to death. Challenging Senior Lei Yi is just for show. That's right, I think so too. The winged men discussed animatedly. Some even scolded Lu Ming in the illusory space, trying to provoke Lu Ming to come out. Soon, another 2 days had passed, but Lu Ming still had not arrived. Where's the ruin that Lu Ming occupied? I'll go there personally. At this moment, the green-robed young man, Lei Yi, suddenly opened his eyes. Bolts of lightning shot out from his eyes, and a loud rumble resounded in the sky. The power was shocking, as if it was a punishment from the heavens. Obviously, Lei Yi was angry. After waiting for so many days, he had lost his patience. Don't look for me. I'm here. At this moment, a voice came from the distant horizon. Following that, a figure stepped on the air and arrived. It's really Lu Ming. He's here. I didn't expect him to really dare to come. This is going to be a good show. Many people started discussing excitedly when they saw Lu Ming. Lei Yi also looked at Lu Ming, lightning flashing in his eyes. Lu Ming's speed was very fast. With just a few steps, He arrived at the peak of Surging Wave Peak and landed on the peak, facing Lei Yi. "Brat, you're finally here. I thought you were going to be a coward." A youth from the Winged Men clan sneered. "Oh my, you're so arrogant now. Last time, you were beaten by me until you ran away in a sorry state, crying for your parents. I remember that you were one of them." Lu Ming's gaze was filled with mockery as he looked at the winged man who had just spoken. "You." The winged man couldn't help but blush with shame and indignation. Back then, Lu Ming slaughtered everyone and broke the Winged Clan's battle formation. He was indeed scared out of his wits and ran for his life, crying for his parents. That was truly frightening. But now that Lu Ming had brought it up in front of everyone, it was an extremely embarrassing matter. "Lu Ming, right? I didn't expect that you could kill so many people from my Winged Men clan with your mere third-level Divine Lord cultivation. Very good, very good." Lei Yi spoke at this moment, looking at Lu Ming, a cold light flashing in his eyes. "Very good indeed. It'll be even better after I kill you." Lu Ming smiled faintly. "Kill me? With just you? You're still far from it. I'll let you understand the difference between you and me." Lei Yi sneered. Boom. In the next moment, a shocking aura suddenly erupted from Lei Yi's body. An incomparably dense and ancient aura spread out from his body. Zzz Lei Yi's body was covered with lightning, as if he had turned into a person of lightning. Origin Divine Power Factor, 6 Awakenings, and a 6th-level Divine Lord cultivation. Lu Ming's eyes suddenly narrowed. The moment Lei Yi erupted, Lu Ming could feel that this Lei Yi's strength was extremely shocking. As expected of someone who had entered 30 years earlier than them, the other party must have obtained a lot of treasures. For example, treasures like the Genesis grass and various divine medicines. Therefore, the other party's origin divine power factor had already awakened 6 times. This was the first time Lu Ming had encountered an origin divine power factor that had awakened 6 times. So strong. Many spectators in the surroundings also revealed shocked expressions. "Kill!" Lei Yi shouted coldly. He pressed his palm, and the lightning in the sky turned into a huge lightning eagle that charged at Lu Ming. At this moment, all the divine power in Lu Ming's body was circulating. At the same time, he activated the battle character formula, which increased his battle strength by 5 times. Then, the Tyrant God Spear condensed and blasted out. Boom! A violent explosion erupted, and the energy in the sky swept out in all directions like a gale. Amidst the explosion, Lu Ming's body trembled, and he couldn't help but retreat a few steps. So strong. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed again. He felt that the other party's power was extremely violent and domineering. The power was like a landslide, as expected of a 6th-level Divine Lord who had awakened his origin divine power factor 6 times. With such a cultivation level and divine power of this grade, any casual attack would be earth-shattering. To be able to block one of my attacks, your strength is not bad. No wonder you can kill so many of my winged men. However, you won't be able to escape death today. Lei Yi said coldly, and the aura on his body became even more shocking. At the same time, a pair of wings appeared. This was a pair of green wings that were completely formed by lightning. Every feather on it seemed to be made of lightning. This was Lei Yi's origin secret technique, and judging from his aura, he had already severed 2 shackles. This pair of green wings merged with the wings on Lei Yi's back. Boom! Lei Yi's aura became even more explosive, and lightning filled the sky. Ding-ling-ling. Lu Ming immediately used the Bell of Heavenly Evil. He had the upper hand by striking first. The powerful soul attack directly charged toward Lei Yi. With Lu Ming's current cultivation level, the power of the Bell of Evil was very shocking. Soul attack, I've been waiting for this move of yours. Break! Lei Yi shouted, and the 2 wings came together and slashed down like a lightning sword. He wanted to break Lu Ming's soul attack with his powerful strength. His strength was very shocking, and when he slashed down, the space exploded, and it really did offset a part of the soul attack. However, his strength wasn't that strong, and he could only offset a part of the soul attack. There was still a part that rushed into his sea of consciousness, and it affected him slightly. It was enough for Lu Ming to have a slight impact on him. In a battle between experts, the slightest difference could lead to a huge difference. If there was a slight effect, it would also weaken Lei Yi's strength slightly. Following that, Lu Ming condensed the wind-extinguishing boots and merged them with his feet. With a step, Lu Ming rushed towards Lei Yi. At the same time, the 18 drops of primordial divine blood in his body all burst out. The Overlord's spear was like a mountain range, and it smashed towards Lei Yi. The power was so strong that the void shook. Chapter 36:41. Lei Yi's expression turned serious for the first time. He let out a long cry and flapped his wings rapidly. Lightning filled the sky as another large bird flew out. This time, the bird he formed wasn't an eagle, but a roc. The roc let out a long cry and charged toward Lu Ming like a sharp blade. Its power was many times stronger than the eagle from before. Boom! The two clashed once again, erupting with a shocking explosion. Then, Lu Ming's figure drifted back. However, Lu Ming took a step forward and charged toward Lei Yi from another direction. Lu Ming didn't use any other Origin secret techniques. Comparatively speaking, his other Origin secret techniques hadn't severed the second shackle and were much weaker. Against an expert like Lei Yi, they weren't very useful. It was better to just attack with the Overlord God Spear. The Overlord God Spear was held in Lu Ming's hand. Coupled with the power of the primordial divine body, its power could be unleashed to the extreme. Thunder rock! Lei Yi roared. His body was covered in endless lightning as his wings flapped continuously. This time, two thunder rocks formed. Boom! Boom! The two engaged in an intense battle, exchanging more than 10 moves. Lei Yi was really strong. He was a 6th-level Divine Lord. In terms of cultivation, he was 3 levels higher than Lu Ming. One had to know that the difference of 1 level in the Divine Lord realm was like heaven and earth. A person 1 level higher could easily kill a person 1 level lower, let alone a person 3 levels higher. Moreover, his Origin divine power factor had been awakened 6 times. It was higher than Lu Ming's. With such battle strength, even if Lu Ming used his full strength, he still couldn't gain the upper hand. However, Lu Ming wasn't shocked. Instead, he was happy. Because after exchanging more than 10 moves, Lu Ming found that Lei Yi wasn't that scary. His battle strength was strong because of his cultivation and Origin divine power factor. Other aspects were ordinary. For example, his Constitution secret technique. Lu Ming found that Lei Yi's Constitution secret technique was very ordinary. It wasn't strong and was far inferior to the Winged God of the Winged Race and the Golden Winged Race. This meant that the other party's talent was not very high. He was inferior to the Winged God and the Golden Winged Clan. The reason why Lei Yi was so strong was entirely because he had entered the Dragon Clan's mother planet early on, obtained some opportunities, and improved his cultivation, divine power of Origin factor, and secret arts of Origin. Although these 3 factors played a large role in a person's battle prowess, they were not the only factor. There were still other factors that affected one's battle prowess. That was why Lu Ming was able to fight with the other party. If it was the God of Wings or the Golden Winged Man, Lu Ming would definitely be no match for them given their Origin divine power factor and cultivation level. In this way, Lu Ming was emboldened. Kill! Lu Ming let out a long roar and raised his battle prowess to the maximum. And in the measure word formula, the divine power kept pouring into Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming did not have to worry about running out of divine power. The power of the Tyrant God Spear, wind-extinguishing boots, and Evil Bell were also urged to the maximum. Many people whose cultivation level was not high enough could only hear continuous ringing sounds. Afterward, Lu Ming turned into a phantom and surrounded Lei Yi, launching a fierce attack. How is this possible? Lu Ming's strength is actually powerful to such an extent. He can actually fight with Lei Yi to such an extent? He's only a 3rd-level Divine Lord, while Lei Yi is a 6th-level Divine Lord. He can actually bridge such a gap? Inconceivable. The surrounding people of other races who were watching the battle were all stunned. Each and every one of them opened their eyes wide, staring fixedly at the great battle on Surging Wave Peak. As a 3rd-level Divine Lord, fighting a 6th-level Divine Lord. Furthermore, the other party was also a prodigy. This kind of battle prowess was truly too shocking. Those people from the winged clan were all stunned. Then, their faces turned deathly pale, extremely ugly. Previously, they were incomparably arrogant, thinking that Lei Yi was enough to kill Lu Ming. They never would have thought that Lu Ming could actually contend with Lu Ming. No, Lei Yi definitely won't lose. Lei Yi's cultivation is a 6th-level Divine Lord. It's incomparably dense. It's far from what a 3rd-level Divine Lord can compare to. That brat must have used some secret art to increase his battle prowess. But this kind of secret art consumes a lot of divine power. He won't be able to hold on for long before his divine power runs out. That's right. The moment his divine power runs out will be the moment he dies. The Winged Clan seemed to have grasped at their last life-saving straw. They began to look forward to it. Unfortunately, they were disappointed. Lu Ming and Lei Yi exchanged 30 moves, 40 moves, 50 moves. All the way until over 100 moves, Lu Ming's attacks did not weaken at all. They were still incomparably powerful. Instead, it was Lei Yi whose attacks began to weaken. The first reason was that Lei Yi was constantly being affected by the Heavenly Evil Bell. The Heavenly Evil Bell was constantly attacking his soul. Although it was only a slight effect each time, over a long period of time, it accumulated, and the effect on his soul became greater and greater. Now, waves of piercing pain were coming from his soul. This severely affected his performance. The other reason was that such an intense battle consumed a lot of divine power. At this moment, Lei Yi's divine power was greatly depleted. Damn it! Lei Yi roared in his heart. He could not understand how Lu Ming's divine power could be so dense. Could this brat have a treasure to store divine power? But the higher one's cultivation, the harder it is to store divine power. Treasures to store divine power are even rarer. How did this brat have it? Lei Yi roared in his heart. He could not figure it out. He would never have thought that it was because of the origin ancient characters. The origin ancient characters were too rare. In the entire primitive universe, there were only 36 origin ancient characters. Each origin ancient character had a different function. As for the quantitative character formula, it was an auxiliary origin ancient character. It was not well known in the primitive universe. Not many people knew about it. Lei Yi did not know about it at all. That was why he could not figure it out. With his 6th-level Divine Lord cultivation, his divine power had been severely depleted. How could Lu Ming still be so lively? The more he fought, the more shocked he became. His mentality was in a mess. He no longer had his initial sharpness. In this way, he was even less of a match for Lu Ming. Slowly, he began to fall into a disadvantageous position. On the other hand, Lu Ming's advantage was increasing. After exchanging more than a dozen moves, whoosh, an extremely sharp spear light almost pierced Lei Yi's heart. Although he tried his best to avoid it, his shoulder was still pierced. A large hole was blasted open and blood and flesh splattered. Lei Yi roared. However, he was injured and his strength was even weaker. He wanted to escape. Kill! Lei Yi roared. His divine power erupted and condensed into 3 lightning rocks. They pounced on Lu Ming. As for himself, he turned to leave. Want to leave? Impossible. Lu Ming's eyes were cold. He stepped on the void and his figure constantly changed. He directly dodged the 3 lightning rocks. The Tyrant God Spear was like a bolt of lightning, piercing towards Lei Yi's head. Chapter 36-42. Lu Ming continuously changed his position and dodged Lei Yi's attack. The spear light was like lightning as it pierced towards Lei Yi's head. Lei Yi felt goosebumps all over his body as a terrifying sense of danger emerged in his heart. This was the danger of death. At the critical moment, Lei Yi roared and moved his body a few meters away. Trying to dodge? Don't even think about it. Lu Ming's eyes were cold as he swept the Overlord God's spear. The tip of the spear pierced through the void like a blade light flashing past. Poof! The spear swept past Lei Yi's wing. Immediately, blood splattered and feathers flew. One of Lei Yi's wings had been chopped off. His origin source secret technique was originally fused with his wings, but at this moment, it almost collapsed. Lei Yi coughed out blood, and his face turned pale. "Quick, come and help me. Quick!" Lei roared crazily and asked the other winged men for help. "Quick, form the formation. Form the formation." There were more than 100 winged men on the scene. At this moment, their figures flashed as they formed the formation and rushed towards Lu Ming to save Lei. However, Lu Ming would not give them the chance. Their movements were too slow. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, Lu Ming attacked more than 10 times. The spear shadows completely enveloped Lei. Lei was continuously injured, and his combat strength was weakened. He was no match for Lu Ming. Although he tried his best to resist, it was still useless. More than 10 spear lights were only able to block half of the attacks. The remaining half bombarded his body and blasted half of it. "Quick, come and save me!" Lei roared crazily. He was almost scared to death and almost wet his pants. Although he was considered a supreme talent in the Winged Men clan, he was not the top and did not have a high status. More than 30 years ago, he risked his life to break into the Dragon Clan's mother planet and finally obtained a great opportunity. After cultivating in the Dragon Clan's mother planet for a few decades, his cultivation had improved by leaps and bounds. Many of the supreme talents of the Winged Men clan who had suppressed him back then were no longer his match. This made him extremely happy. His fate had completely changed. In the future, he would definitely be put in an important position in the Winged Men clan. He had originally thought that killing Lu Ming would be a piece of cake. After killing Lu Ming, the big shot of the Winged Men clan would think highly of him and his future would be bright. He never thought that he would put himself in danger. This was not the result he wanted. He was so scared that his soul was trembling. "Stop! Kill!" More than 100 winged men formed a battle formation and rushed over. Unfortunately, they were unable to catch up. "Kill him first, then I'll deal with you guys." Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a cold light, and his attacks continued like a torrential storm, sweeping towards Lei. This time, Ray could no longer resist. "Lu Ming, you're doomed." Lei let out an unwilling roar as he was engulfed by the spear light. His body exploded, and his soul was destroyed. He died on the spot. "Damn it!" Many members of the Winged Men roared when they saw this scene. Then, they gathered their divine energy and formed a huge battle sword that slashed towards Lu Ming. "You don't have any peak heavenly geniuses. There are only 100 of you. I want to see how strong your battle formation is." Lu Ming revealed an intense battle intent. His divine energy crazily poured into the Tyrant God's spear. Boom! The Tyrant God's spear suddenly stabbed out, and a huge spear light pierced towards the battle sword. Then, the two collided. A shocking explosion erupted. It was as if a planet had exploded, and a resplendent shockwave spread out in all directions. In the end, the spear light and the battle sword exploded at the same time. How is this possible? All the winged men, including the spectators, were shocked. They didn't know until they fought, but now that they fought, they realized how terrifying Lu Ming was. A battle formation formed by more than 100 people was actually unable to do anything to Lu Ming. "You're only SOSO. Kill!" Lu Ming roared, and the Tyrant God's spear shot out. A huge spear shadow, like a mountain, was a few thousand miles long, and blasted towards the winged men's battle formation. At the same time, the heavenly evil bell rang continuously, and soul attacks rushed towards the winged men's battle formation. When they formed a battle formation, their divine energy could be linked together, and their divine energy could be stacked together. However, there was a flaw in this. After all, it would take time to link up their divine energy. Although this time wasn't very long, it could be said to be very short. If they were in a state of suppression, this time was negligible. However, the battle formation formed by the winged men now couldn't suppress Lu Ming. This was a big problem. Lu Ming's attack speed was faster than theirs. In addition, some of them felt a piercing pain in their souls when they were attacked by the heavenly evil bell. As a result, their attack speed was slower. They unleashed their attacks. When they made the second move, they could barely keep up with Lu Ming's speed and blocked his attack. When they attacked for the third time, they were slightly slower. Just as Lu Ming's attack was about to land, they attacked to block Lu Ming's spear. However, When Lu Ming attacked for the fourth time, it was already too late for them to attack. Defend. Quick, defend. Block it. Block it. Many of the sky prides of the winged men shouted. Seeing that the huge spear light was about to land, they were horrified. In the end, they managed to activate a light screen to block it. Boom! The huge spear light smashed hard on the light screen. The light screen shook violently, and the few sky prides of the winged men who were closest to the spear light trembled violently. They spat out mouthfuls of blood, and cracks appeared on their bodies. They screamed in horror. Break! Amidst the horrified screams and Lu Ming's cold snort, cracks appeared on the layer of light curtain and it simply exploded. The light screen exploded, and there was no more obstruction. The spear light crushed down. Bang! 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 In an instant, more than a dozen sky prides of the winged men clan exploded and died on the spot. Run! The battle formation had been broken. The remaining sky prides of the winged men clan were terrified. They ran for their lives and fled in all directions. Kill! Lu Ming roared. He was filled with killing intent, and he did not show any mercy. He and the winged men clan were mortal enemies. They would not rest until one of them was dead. The other party had schemed to kill him, and he would not let them go, although he did not care about them anymore. Swoosh! 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 Dazzling spear light shot out continuously. The sky prides of the winged men clan were pierced through and died on the spot. It was a one-sided massacre. This was because there was no one left in the winged men clan who could fight against Lu Ming. None of them could fight against Lu Ming. One after another, the sky prides of the winged men clan died under Lu Ming's tyrant god spear. There were more than 100 of them, but soon, 50 to 60 of them were killed. The rest of them were lucky and managed to escape in a sorry state. How ruthless! How strong! The sky prides of the various races gasped. They looked at Lu Ming with a grave expression. They knew that he was a ruthless person. Chapter 36:43. After all, Lu Ming was alone. He couldn't split himself up. He didn't mind killing all the winged men prodigies. However, more than 100 winged men prodigies fled in all directions. Moreover, the winged men were good at speed. It was impossible for him to catch up with them one by one. In the end, he only managed to kill more than half of them. Lu Ming's figure flickered as he collected the storage rings of the winged men prodigies. I wonder if there's anything in that guy's storage ring? A thought flashed across Lu Ming's mind as he revealed an expectant expression. He was thinking about Lei Yi's storage ring. Lei Yi had been in the Dragon Clan's mother planet for so many years. He must have gone through many relics or sacred grounds and obtained a lot of treasures. Otherwise, his cultivation wouldn't have improved so much. He also had Origin Source divine power and Origin Source secret techniques. It was most likely that he had left something behind. Lu Ming planned to find a place to check. Rumble. It was at this moment that a sudden change occurred. The earth and space suddenly began to tremble violently, emitting violent rumbling sounds. Rumble. Intense rumbling sounds rang out continuously. Many people who were standing on the ground nearly lost their balance. What's going on? Many people were puzzled. Look, outer space, outer space. Suddenly, someone looked up at the sky and shouted in shock. The others couldn't help but look up at the sky. Then, they gasped in unison. Even Lu Ming was the same. No one knew when, but a colossal figure appeared in outer space. It was incomparably huge and appeared from the universe. Swoosh! A huge beam of light shot out from the body of this colossus, slashing towards the dragon race's mother planet. Around the dragon race's mother planet, the 10,000 dragon seal appeared and blocked the light. However, it shook violently and let out a loud rumbling sound. Soon, the figure approached, and the crowd could finally see the figure's appearance. It was actually a winged man. Although it was very far away, this winged man was too big. He appeared between the Dragon Clan's mother planet and the star, directly blocking the star. The world was dark, and only the bright golden light was left. This was a middle-aged golden winged person. His entire body was golden and radiated with radiance. He was simply too big. He gave off the feeling that he was as big as a star. It's the Winged Men clan. That almighty from the Winged Men clan has arrived. Someone shouted in shock. He had heard that Lu Ming had killed the son of a powerful being from the Winged Men clan. That powerful being was so angry that he rushed to the Dragon clan's home planet. Now, he had finally arrived. However, the other party was too terrifying. His body was as huge as a planet, and he traversed the starry sky of the universe like a primordial god. Previously, the tremor in the dragon race's mother planet was caused by this person. He was attacking the dragon race's mother planet, but was blocked by the 10,000 dragon seals. Swoosh! The eyes of the winged men were like two golden suns when they opened and closed. In the end, his gaze landed on Lu Ming. Even though they were separated by a great distance, Lu Ming could see the incomparably brutal killing intent in his eyes. Kid, are you the one who killed many of my Winged Men clan sky prides? The Winged Men clan's almighty spoke. His voice rumbled and directly transmitted to the dragon race's mother planet through the 10,000 dragon seals. This kind of strength was truly earth-shattering. That's right. Lu Ming took a deep breath and said, it would be nonsense to say that he didn't feel pressured when facing such an unfathomable almighty. He was under a lot of pressure. Fortunately, the dragon race's mother planet had the 10,000 dragon seals. The 10,000 dragon seals were set up by all the experts of the dragon race at the cost of their lives. They were unbreakable. If they could be broken, the almighties of the Angels clan, the Soul clan, and the other clans would have broken through long ago. Why would they wait for the Winged Men clan's almighty to come? With this confidence, Lu Ming was fearless. Very well, get out here yourself. I'll let you die a quick death. The Winged Men clan's almighty spoke. His voice rumbled like thunder. His tone was filled with an unquestionable tone, as if others had to do what he said. In fact, that was indeed the case. This person was a top almighty of the Winged Men clan. His strength was unimaginably high. No one dared to refute his words. Whatever he said was what it was. This was a habit that had become second nature. But in Lu Ming's eyes, it was just stupid. Hee, I've seen it in the dreamy divine jade. I killed an idiot previously. He must be your son. Hee, I didn't expect him to be as stupid as his son. Lu Ming sneered. As soon as Lu Ming's words came out, the surrounding people gasped. Audacious, truly audacious. In the face of such an almighty, Lu Ming actually dared to call him an idiot. This was really, many people would be scared witless when facing such an almighty. They would even have to be careful when speaking. But Lu Ming actually dared to scold the other party. If that wasn't audacious, then what was? Even the almighty of the Winged Men clan was slightly stunned. Then, an incomparably violent killing intent appeared. Very good, very good. I don't know how many years it has been since someone dared to speak to me like this. It seems that the young people nowadays really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. The almighty of the Winged Men clan said coldly, his voice spreading in all directions. Old man, you talk too much nonsense. If you want to avenge your son, come. I'm standing right here. If you have the ability, come and kill me. Lu Ming shouted arrogantly. Anyway, the other party wouldn't let him go. He might as well go all out. He didn't believe that the other party could break the 10,000 dragon seals. Kid, you're courting death. The almighty of the Winged Men clan said coldly. His body emitted an incomparably terrifying light. The golden light illuminated the universe. It was 100 times brighter than a star. If it weren't for the 10,000 dragon seals, Lu Ming and the others would have been annihilated in an instant. But at this moment, they didn't feel the slightest aura. They only saw that the other party's body was shining, but they didn't feel any terrifying aura. They knew that the other party must have been blocked by the 10,000 dragon seals. Boom! The almighty of the Winged Men clan appeared. The golden light condensed into a golden palm. The golden palm was so huge that it covered the sky. It pressed down on the Dragon Clan's mother planet. From afar, the palm lines on the palm could be seen clearly, because every palm line was incomparably huge. It was like a huge mountain range. Roar! Just as the golden palm was about to press down on the Dragon Clan's mother planet, a dragon's roar resounded between heaven and earth. The dragon's roar was earth-shattering. An unparalleled dragon's aura spread out. Then, the surroundings of the dragon clan's mother planet lit up. An incomparably huge divine dragon condensed and rushed into the sky, charging towards the golden palm. Boom! The huge divine dragon collided with the golden palm. An earth-shattering explosion erupted. In the next moment, the golden palm exploded. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.